Hello, church, and welcome to the midweek update for what are we on? June 10th, 2020, midweek update. And Brian, I'm glad to do this update because the big news, of course, is the biggest news. We are reopening for in-person worship. We get to gather in our auditorium for worship again on June 21st, just a week and a half away. We get to be together and worship together, and I'm so excited about it. We want to this morning, church. We want to walk you through what to expect and what to expect with some social distancing protocol that we're encouraging. And so we're gonna
Doyle. That's right. So we are going to be doing a lot of the social distancing protocol. That's what we're about to cover.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
We want the service to be basically touchless, right?
Right.
Okay. So I've been getting in my laboratory and getting some ideas that I thought we could have some items available for people helping with social distancing.
Oh, you're kind of breaking up, but
I'm going to have to take you outside.
Brian, is this more masks?
No. I've already given you the ideas on masks, and I'm still willing to provide those for people, but this is for when we return, okay? Can you see me okay?
Yeah, I can see you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So a few things. So you know how some people, just come right up and they're going to shake your hand and we're trying to be touchless. So what do you do when someone comes up and just says, "Hi, how's it going?" I mean, I've got this item, the handshake extender. Okay. So we'll just have these at the front and you can put these on. So
No.
Okay. So.
No, you won't.
I think that'll be good. Okay.
I can't imagine trying to lead worship like with one of those on.
Doyle, that's a great idea. We should give you one of these.
No, it's not a great idea.
It's going to be hard to sing through the masks, and so maybe we need more dramatic call to worship,
You just threw your hand off. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Now, the hugging.
Oh,
I mean, we are a hugging church.
Yeah.
Right?
We are.
So I know we're not going to be able to stop everybody from hugging. It's our big hearts that are a problem, but
right.
Got to be touchless. So I've made these hands. See, I'm gonna hug you, Doyle. Here I come. Feel that?
That's nice, Brian.
Yeah.
That's a little creepy.
Yeah, no, I think that will help with the distancing. Okay, now you've been hearing in the wave videos on Sunday, everybody's talking about hugging, high-fiving, fist bumping. Right. So I thought for high-fiving, I've made these adhesive palms. Okay?
No.
So you can high-five. And I've made them in a variety of colors. Okay? So
they don't quite fit your hand, though.
Really, you should probably, get a pack because they're really one-use things. So you want to limit who you high-five. All right. And then the fist bumps, I called my friend. We can put these out front. We will issue fist bump fists. Okay?
That's actually not a bad idea.
We'll have these, and then we can fist bump safely. Okay? Yeah. Without
So everybody in your world is going to have on the big Hulk things?
We'll provide them. We are a loving church.
Oh, no, we won't, Brian.
We're going to have them at the foyer on either side. Okay. So now if there are some people, they feel safer than others, right? And so right. These things might help, but it won't really stop someone who really wants to come in for a hug or get close to you or talk in your distance, inside of social distancing. Oh, yeah. So the children's ministry, I talked to Rachel and to Melissa, and they are willing to donate dirty diapers. So that guaranteed, if you pick one of these up as you enter into the fellowship hall,
nobody will go near you.
You carry it around. No one's shaking your hand. No one's coming close to you. So that's the guaranteed thing for those that are most cautious. So that's what I've been working on, Doyle, for the church family because I love them.
I know, man, there is no doubt, Brian, that you love our church family, but I do not think those things will actually be happening.
Well,
but I'm sure
denying that they would work. I mean, those would work.
Here, Brian, just to satisfy you, because we got to get through this, but how about why don't you come to the next elders meeting and present those things, and we'll just let the full eldership speak into your.
Yeah, because you're just one voice on that plurality of leadership. So
exactly, they're they will
Yeah,
speak into it. I'm sure they will be impacted by
I'm
that.
sure they will. Okay.
Brian, I'm glad you think outside of the box, though. I love that.
Yeah, I'm
So
a vision guy.
vision, yeah, that's what that is. So seriously, church, we are excited to get back together, and we are excited to love each other at every turn when we're back together. So we want to walk through kind of what it's going to look like. Generally, there will be some more specifics that we'll give you next week in a midweek video that will actually walk you through what that's going to look like. But just so you'll know up front, so we're going to start. We're going to park in either our north parking lot or our south parking lot, not our west parking lot, unless you want to walk around, because the north and the south doors that enter into the auditorium will be the ones that are open, those main entrances. And you're going to be met, excuse me, you're going to be met at the door by our leadership, our staff, and our elders and some of their families in masks, with gloves, cheering you on, glad to see you. And they're going to be providing you with a bulletin and giving you communion cups, individually wrapped communion, giving you a bag to put your trash in after communion. And they're going to guide you in to our worship assembly. If you don't have a mask when you get here, we do encourage, as our city encourages, we do encourage mask wearing, not for you, but for me, for your neighbor. So we'll have some of those. If you don't have one, we'll have some of those available if you want to wear those for your neighbor. There also will be hand sanitizer at both entrances. And of course, everybody's encouraged to wash your hands and to sanitize your hands when you come in with that hand sanitizer. And we are asking you to keep social distancing. So keep 6 feet apart and not gathering in our foyer just yet. So for this time.
Yeah, so thanks for that, Dole. It is, I just want to remind everybody, this is not, we're back, but we're not back in the way we were. So you're already getting a feel that this is going to be a different experience. And so it will be great to be in each other's proximity, but we're not going to be getting in each other's space. And we really want to really encourage that. So when we get into the worship room, the auditorium, you're going to notice first off that every other row is taped off. And so we ask that you sit with your family, and that's, we're talking about those you live with, that each family unit comes in and sits down, and that you, as you enter into pews where other people are already sitting, that you keep at least 6 feet distance between those families. And so we will be spread out throughout the auditorium. And we also ask that if it's possible for you and comfortable for you to sit down front, okay? Because again, this is a loving gesture to some of our older folks that will be coming because they don't feel like they're at risk, and they feel like with these restrictions in place, they'll be safe. So we want to save those back pews for them so that they don't have to walk as far in, and that they can walk out more quickly, because Dole's going to talk about how we exit, and that matters there. There's not going to be a youth section for the time being because we're sitting as families. So just make your way up to the front there. The balcony will be closed, and that's for couple of reasons. That's just less to clean after we have services, but also because we don't expect to have enough that we would need to use that. But if we do, it'll be ready and prepared for overflow. And just to be conscientious of families, and especially families with young children, most of which may not be ready to come back. We'll get to that here in a minute. But our service will be shorter than usual. Just shorter teaching time, a little bit less time in that room together, just to kind of honor that, hey, this is new now for us. It's not old, this is new. And we want to make it as easy as possible for the widest, just the big breadth of people as we can. So that's what we're going to be doing there.
Right. And then at the end of the service, we'll dismiss you. But not the kind of y'all all go at the same time. We'll dismiss by rows so we can better get through our common areas together with social distancing. And we'll dismiss you. We ask that you not gather in our foyer. We ask that you go to the parking lot, because I know you're going to want to talk to people that you haven't seen. Go to the parking lot, keep social distancing, and talk to them as you wish. And the biggest thing is, remember, everything we do is an act of love, right? So we want to provide the safest place for the most cautious among us. So you may not think any of this is necessary, and you may be even right, but others do, and we want to provide a place for them where they can come and worship with us at very little cost to us to wear a mask and things like that.
Yes. And I just want to reiterate, we are, preferred behavior is that we wear a mask while we're in our shared space. That's
Right.
yes, the whole time, even while we sing. And maybe especially while we sing. Doyle has informed me on some studies of singing is in an enclosed space is a heavy way of transmitting this COVID-19. So anyway, we're really asking for that. So love's the motivation, of course, for this. So you may not be ready. We've been saying we're opening, we're easing back into our worship time. We will have these restrictions. So we are ready when you are. Okay.
Right.
We will be here when you're ready. But the reality is, and this is, Dole's called it the no judgment zone here. You may not be ready for a lot of different reasons. So you may actually be at risk. If you are at risk, then it's probably not time for you to come. If you have family members that you're committed to meeting with that are at risk, you may not be ready, not because you personally aren't, but because you want to worship with that family member and you're providing that time with them. If you have any symptoms at all, you're not ready. Like, don't come. That's if you have any symptoms at all, then you're not ready. You may, because of the restrictions we have in place, you may not be ready because you do have young kids. And it doesn't matter if we're a little bit shorter, it's going to be really difficult. And so more ideal for you is to continue online worship. And I want to remind you, Craig is working hard right now to install the equipment that we need. This has kind of pushed us into that arena where we will be able to live stream our worship services, and it will continue to be recorded. So if you wanted to do it later in the day, you could do that as well. So if you have small kids, you may not be ready. You may just now be getting to where you like doing worship as a family or as a small group or in a house church situation. And that combined with the restrictions, you're like, you know what, let's just keep going with this and enjoying this. That's great. You're not ready. That's okay. And honestly, if there are some out there that just say, I just don't want to do that. I don't want to sing with a mask. I don't want to have to deal with the restrictions. I'm a massive hugger. I can relate to this one. Okay. I'm a massive hugger, and to be around people and not hug is not something I can even fathom doing. Well, then let me just tell you, you're not ready. You're not ready to come back. So that is all okay. So we expect that we will not have everyone back on the Sunday that we open up. And that is okay. We are ready when you are.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian, we've both shared how much we've loved our small groups and meeting with small groups and worship and how intimate that was. I hope we don't give that up just because we're meeting back together. But we also long to be back together as a church, and we're excited for that. And this is the first step into that. So we're here when you are. At the very beginning of COVID stuff, and we started doing these midweek messages, I think in that first one, we talked about this Philippians text, and we've come back to it several times. Philippians chapter 2, really all of the Philippian letter. And today we are talking about that same text in chapter 2, where it just says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility, consider others better than yourself. And then just this should be maybe our life verse right now. Each of you should look not only to your own interest, but also to the interest of others. That's just a straight up reminder to us to not just think about what I want, but think about the interest of the people that I'm going to be sharing a space with. We do that in our homes with our family. We should be, at least. Let's do that with our family, our church family, when we're together. It's just consider others always.
Yeah. And just to amen that, and Joel, I appreciate us bringing this up here as we're thinking about getting back together. We call it a shared space for a reason, because it's shared. It's not my space. It is automatically other people's space as well. And a little bit later in that same chapter, Paul says something that really personifies this into his friend Timothy and his little protege Timothy. It says in verse 19, he's talking to the church in Philippi, and he says, I hope in the Lord Jesus to send Timothy to you soon, that I also may be cheered when I receive news about you. Okay, so that's his reason for wanting to send Timothy. But then I imagine him kind of just reflecting on who Timothy is and how excited he is to send Timothy to those Christians in Philippi. And he explains it. He says, I have no one else like Timothy who takes a genuine interest in your welfare. For everyone looks out for his own interests, but not those of Jesus Christ. And it's like he's saying, but not Timothy. I cannot wait for you to be around Timothy, because when Timothy walks into a room, he is instantly thinking of everyone else. And I mean, he's got a lot of Christian friends, Paul does.
Right.
He says, I have no one else like Timothy. And what distinguishes him is how committed he is to the welfare of those around him. And so I know we're asking for inconveniences on people, and even wearing a mask while singing. I mean, I know, Dole, you hate the idea. You're really wondering about that. However, I know you've changed your tune on that a little bit because of this, because it's an act of love. And plus, I've heard another church that I visited, they said something that really got me on that. They said, you know, it's not going to be like I normally want it to be when I'm singing with the church family, but it seems there's something right about having to work hard to worship. There's something redeeming, like about the worship of God and joining our voices together is not about it being convenient for me. Right. It's about me honoring God. And so if doing it with a mask, and we'll see how it is. We'll see how it is. Like I said, my experience of it wasn't what it was, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah. So
I'm looking forward to trying all this together.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that spirit. And so many of our church has that spirit. So church, we love you, and can't wait for that gathering.
Yeah, there will be more details in next week's video that I think you'll get to get a kick out of and get to see kind of how it's going to look. But until then, we love you, and we'll see you soon.
Love you.